Wait, you're a Bears fan and you're not subscribed to my channel? Before this video starts, make sure to 1. Hit the subscribe button below to catch all Bears content right here on this podcast. 2. Hit the bell notification because you, my friend, are a diehard Bears fan. And 3. Like this video and tell all the Bears fans you know about the channel. Alright, that's better. Now that you're actually subscribed to the channel, make sure to bear down and enjoy this video.
Now this is a podcast all about Bears. You either cheering for this team or just pulling your hair. I like to take a minute, just sit right back and tell you how I became the #1 Bears fan.
That boy is Benny Hunter.
Cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. In Antelope is where I spend most of my days. Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Before I get this episode started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But before I continue with this video, I have to tell you guys about MyBookie. You like easy money? Thanks to MyBookie and their lock of the season, if either team scores in the NFL season opener, you win. If you didn't know, a game hasn't ended 0-0 since World War II, so this is a sure bet. Head to mybookie.ag, select the lock of the season, and if any team scores between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you win. The best bet you can make is the one you can't lose. MyBookie is also playing host to several exclusive contests, including the $100,000 Super Contest, and only costs $10 to enter. There's big money on the line this season, so don't wait to get in the game. Join now. Head to mybookie.ag today and use your promo code KOTM and instantly receive double your first deposit. That's double your funds to double your winnings. Again, that's promo code KOTM to receive double your first deposit and get started with MyBookie today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. So Bears fans, we are getting closer and closer to the Chicago Bears' very first game of the 2021 season, where they take on the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. And I am super pumped and excited to watch the Chicago Bears get back at it. So on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I am going to give you my final record prediction for the Chicago Bears 2021 season. And like always, I encourage you guys to comment down below in the comment section and give me your guys' record prediction for the Chicago Bears this season. Like I mentioned in many episodes of Keek on the Mic before, this is a really tough schedule. I'm looking forward to hopefully watching the Chicago Bears, change a lot of viewpoints of many analysts and fans around the NFL. There's not a lot of expectations for the Chicago Bears team. That means they have nothing to lose. And we don't have any idea what this Chicago Bears team is going to look like. How is Andy Dalton going to do? How is Matt Nagy going to do? How is this defense going to look? There are so many question marks, and I think that's what makes this season so exciting, for me at least. I'm not sure how you guys feel about it, but that's what makes things super exciting, because we do not know what we are going to get from this Chicago Bears team this season. So I'm not going to waste no time. Make sure as I go through my picks, you guys can comment and you can say, no, Keek, I think that's going to be a loss. No, Keek, I think that's going to be a win. Just make sure you comment down below in the comment section and follow along with my picks. So starting off with week 1 at the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. And I went back and forth with this one. I was like, can the Chicago Bears actually come out and upset the Los Angeles Rams? When you look at the Los Angeles Rams, obviously they still have Aaron Donald. They still have Jalen Ramsey. But they actually lost a lot of pieces to that defense. They lost their defensive coordinator, Staley, which is now the Chargers head coach. So they lost their defensive coordinator. They lost a couple of corners. They lost a safety, lost a pass rusher. So this defense is going to look a lot different. So yes, last season they were a top 5 defense. But what is this Rams defense going to look like? I think the big question of this game is not on the defense, but Matthew Stafford coming from the Lions to Los Angeles. What is he going to look like in his first game with the Los Angeles Rams? That's when you start thinking about Sean McVay and his masterful play calling as an offensive-minded coach. This is a very dangerous game for the Chicago Bears, and I think if they don't come out to play, this can get ugly very quickly. And this is when you go on the Bears side. What is Andy Dalton going to look like? What is Matt Nagy going to come out and do to match the play calling ability of Sean McVay? I think this is definitely going to be who has the better coaching. And when you look at the moment, I think the Rams coaching staff is obviously better than the Bears coaching staff. I do think the Chicago Bears are going to come out to play. They're going to come out and play inspired football. They're going to be pumped up. It's week 1 of the NFL season on Sunday Night Football in that brand new, beautiful stadium that the Rams have. But I'm going to have to be realistic here, and I think the Rams beat the Bears. And I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout. I think the Bears are going to come out and hang in there for as long as possible. But I just think Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to be our defense once again over the last couple of years. It's always been our defense. But I think it's going to be our defense that's going to keep us in the game. And then I think the Rams will pull away with it at the end. But I am going to give the Bears a loss at the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. So now moving on to week 2, and I'm actually going to this game with my fiance, so I'll be in Chicago for the Bears home opener against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a lot of people's mindset. Like, let's say Andy Dalton plays like crap. Can we possibly see Justin Fields as early as week 2? We don't know. I don't believe that's the case. I think Andy Dalton will at least get 4 weeks to play. So I think Andy Dalton will get a crack at his former team in the Cincinnati Bengals in the home opener. I anticipate the city of Chicago to be absolutely buzzing for the home opener. And I think the Bears are going to rebound in a huge way. Obviously, you look at Joe Burrow coming back from that ACL injury last season. And the Bengals didn't do anything to really help their offensive line. Instead, they took Jamar Chase, gave him another weapon. But here's the thing about getting a receiver, right? You need to have time in order to throw to those big-time receivers. I think guys like Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, they're going to rebound in a big way. And once again, I think our defense is going to take control of this game. They're going to cause some turnovers. They're going to get after Joe Burrow. And I think if the offense for the Chicago Bears can just put up 20 points, I think we walk out of here in our home opener with a win. So I think we're going to win week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Week 3, we go to Cleveland against, I would say, a very complete Cleveland Browns team. And people may disagree with me here, but I think the Cleveland Browns can possibly be a threat in the AFC. So this is going to be a very tough test for Andy Dalton, Matt Nagy, and the Chicago Bears. I think, once again, I'm going to say this probably for every game. As long as our defense stays healthy, I think Sean Desai is going to have this defense balling on all cylinders. I know people are a little bit worried about our cornerback, our secondary position. So am I. But I think when you have a defensive line like the Chicago Bears, I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off our secondary. I think, once again, I think the Bears will be competitive in most games. But when I look at the Cleveland Browns, I'm not sure if that's going to be the case because you have Baker Mayfield coming back, and he's playing really good football. I think with each year, he's getting better and better. And like I said, this is a very complete Cleveland Browns football team. I think the Bears will be competitive, but I am going to give the Browns the win against the Bears in week 3. So that puts our record at 1-2. Moving on to week 4, we come back home, obviously. They kind of did us dirty with the schedule, making us go home and away, home and away. We don't have back-to-back home games or back-to-back road games, which is a little fishy to me, NFL, but whatever. We come back home, week 4, and play the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am very confident against the Detroit Lions. We have owned the Detroit Lions. Even looking back when Mitch Trubisky was the Bears quarterback, he absolutely owned the Detroit Lions. And I think this is a game that I think Bears fans expect to win. This is also another game that Justin Fields may start in. I think if we're 1-2 at this point, Matt Nagy may say, you know what? Let's put Justin Fields in against a Detroit Lions team that we've owned over the years. Obviously, it's a different coaching staff. I do understand that. But we've owned the Lions over the years. We're at home. You know, he's going to have the home crowd supporting him. And let's try to get this offense going with Justin Fields. So this could be a possibility that Justin Fields can play in this week 4 game against the Lions. if it's Andy Dalton or Justin Fields, I still think we get the job done. I'm not scared of Jared Goff. I'm not really sure if anybody's scared of Jared Goff. I think our defense, once again, is going to make Jared Goff very uncomfortable. They're going to get after the quarterback, and I think it's going to be a beautiful sight. And I think the Bears bounce back with a huge win at home Week 4 against the Detroit Lions, which would make our record 2-2. Then we go to Las Vegas, Week 5, where Khalil Mack will get another shot against his former team, and hopefully this time he makes them pay. Obviously, you guys remember a couple of years ago, we played them in London. The Raiders got the best of us that game. You know, they were doing things where they would roll out Derek Carr the opposite way of where Khalil Mack was. It was a masterful plan. They shut down Khalil Mack completely. It was a great plan. I think in this game, though, Khalil Mack will have something to say about it. I think Sean Desai is, he's going to put these guys in good situations to make plays on the defensive side of the ball. I think the Bears go into Las Vegas, and this is a very good Raiders team. I don't think anyone can take the Raiders lightly. I think they have the talent and the pieces to be successful. Obviously, they're playing in a division with the Chargers and the Chiefs, so it's a very tough division, but they are also a very good football team. I think the one thing about the Las Vegas Raiders is still their defense. Their pass rush has struggled ever since they traded Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears. I think, once again, our defense will play a factor as long as our offense can play their part and put up 20 points a game, which is going to be for most games. If the Bears offense can put up 20-plus points a game, I think we'll have a chance to win a lot of football games. But I think we go into Las Vegas, handle business against the Las Vegas Raiders, and improve our record to 3-2. And then we come back home and we play our arch rival, the Green Bay Packers, at home. And, I'm getting damn tired to losing to the Packers. And it's just so frustrating because we all understand as Bears fans that as long as they have Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be a tough game. And Aaron Rodgers absolutely owns us, and we have to come to the conclusion that we just probably can't beat the dude. We may get lucky here and there if he makes the mistakes, but at this point, I'm not confident that we can beat the Packers ever as long as they have Aaron Rodgers. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to do some Aaron Rodgers things again where he's going to throw a Hail Mary and have a late game touchdown drive against the Chicago Bears and own us once again. I think we lose this game to Green Bay in Week 6 at home, moving our record to 3-3. And right now, if this is Andy Dalton, 3-3 is not bad. I think that we're still in a good position. We're probably still in the wild card hunt. Like I said in my podcast the other day, I anticipate the Chicago Bears being in the wild card hunt for most of the season. So now we're going to Week 7, and we are going to the defending Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where we have to go to Tampa Bay. This may be a good time to put Nick Foles in. No, I'm just kidding. Nick Foles needs to stay his ass on the bench. But we go to Tampa Bay, and I'm going to make this one short and sweet. Tampa Bay is a complete team. They returned all 22 starters. I think at this point in the season, where is the health at? And even though it's going to be an early season tilt, we're kind of in the midway point. So it's still kind of early season. Where is the health at with the Chicago Bears and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are for some reason banged up, the Bears may have a chance. And I know you guys may say, well, Keek, the Bears always have a chance to win the game, which is necessarily a true statement. But in this case, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are fully healthy, I don't think the Bears really have any chance. And I want the Bears to prove me wrong. I truly do. Prove me wrong, Chicago Bears, that I can trust picking you every single week. I will support you each week, but can I trust picking you every week? There's a big difference. So I think we go to Tampa and we drop this one, and that moves our record to 3-4. So now we come back home, and this is what I'm talking about. We come back home and play the San Francisco 49ers. I think the San Francisco 49ers are also going to be fighting for that wild card spot at the end of the year. These are the football games that the Chicago Bears need to find a way to win. And it starts right here against the San Francisco 49ers. And the Chicago Bears are 3-4 by now. And this is when I fully anticipate Matt Nagy may be like, you know what? It's time to put Justin Fields in. And we could honestly see a Justin Fields versus Trey Lance matchup here because obviously the 49ers are kind of in the same situation as the Chicago Bears. When you look at this game, I truly believe in my hearts of hearts that it's going to be who can run the football better and who plays better defense. Obviously, the 49ers have a still very good defense, and when you look at the Chicago Bears, their defense is also very good. So this is going to be a very good matchup, and it's going to be a hard-fought battle. Obviously, I'm from California, so I need the Bears to win this game because if they lose, I won't hear the end of it from all my 49ers friends and family. But I'm actually going to give the Bears the win right here against probably a very good and talented 49ers team. It's not going to be easy, but I think if Justin Fields plays, this is going to give this team an extra little boost, a little energy to them that I think they'll walk out of this game with the win and improve their record to 4-4. Then we go to week 9. We're heading to Pittsburgh where we play a Monday Night Football game against the Steelers. And once again, Big Ben doesn't scare me. This game doesn't really scare me. I think if Big Ben is playing, which I anticipate that he will be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, unless he gets hurt for some reason, this game doesn't scare me. I think, once again, we can walk out of here with the win. I think it just depends what our offense does. If Justin Fields is playing at this point, I think we're going to win a lot more football games. If it's still Andy Dalton, I think it's going to be a pretty even matchup. Once again, I think our defense will keep us in every single football game this season. So, you know what? I'm going to go off and win. And I think the Bears also get a win here on Monday Night Football against Steelers. It's going to be a very tough football game. Obviously, when you look at the Steelers defense, it's still a very good defense led by TJ Watt. I think he's going to get after this Chicago Bears offensive line, which at this point, we don't know what this offensive line is going to look like. Will our offensive line still be healthy? Will they start creating a balance where they're moving forward and they're looking really, really good? We don't know. These are all questions that we will find out as the season goes along. But I think the Chicago Bears can go into Pittsburgh and win this football game, and that would improve their record to 5-4. Week 10, we have our bye, which will be probably a really good spot because at this point we could be 5-4 or 4-5. It just depends on how things roll in as these games go along. Then the Chicago Bears will travel home against the Baltimore Ravens, which is going to be a really difficult game, I think, for the Bears defense, because when you look at a guy like Lamar Jackson, what is Sean Desai going to do to keep the man in the pocket? You have to figure out a way to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket. And even then, Lamar Jackson has gotten extremely better at throwing the football. When he first entered the NFL, he was primarily just a running quarterback, right? If you just escape the pocket, he runs all over you. But now he can run and throw the football. He's a complete quarterback that's probably about to get paid. So this is going to be a very tough game for the Chicago Bears. And I think we lose this one and go to 5-5. Then we travel week 12 to the Detroit Lions, and I believe this one, once again, is a Thanksgiving football game. So we get to eat our Thanksgiving dinner and watch some Bears football once again. And I think we beat the Detroit Lions. I don't really want to talk about it too long. I think we're going to sweep the Detroit Lions and move to 6-5. Week 13, we come home to play the Arizona Cardinals, and once again, at 6-5, I anticipate the Cardinals probably having a similar record as the Chicago Bears. This is also going to be a team that's going to be fighting for a wild card spot. So these are the games that the Chicago Bears have to win, right? So obviously you look at Kyle Murray, a very talented young quarterback, another guy that you have to try to keep in the pocket. This is going to be a very competitive game. The Cardinals have a very good defense, especially adding J.J. Watt. Their offense is not too bad either. So this is going to be a game of what can the Bears offense do, and it's got to be a complete team effort. But once again, if the Chicago Bears offense can maintain that 20-plus points a game, which I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get there, but if they can get 20-plus points a game, I think they're going to win a lot of football games, and I think this is going to be a very tight game. But I think they come out of here with the win and improve their record to 7-5. Then in week 14, we head to Lambeau Field against Green Bay, and I think Green Bay once again will sweep us. I sound like a broken record now. As long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, I think he will beat us. I say he will beat us, not Green Bay. He will beat us. There's been so many times where I felt that Green Bay's roster was nowhere near the Chicago Bears roster. But it's the power of that quarterback, the power of the quarterback position, which I hope that's what Justin Fields brings to this Bears team. But Aaron Rodgers owns the Chicago Bears, and I feel like it will continue this season. And I hate to say that, but I just think it's the truth, and I think most of you guys would probably agree. So I think we get swept by the Packers, and that would move our record to 7-6. And then we play the Minnesota Vikings Week 15 in Chicago on Monday Night Football. And once again, I think this is a team that we've owned over the last couple of years. I think we play Kirk Cousins really well. I think our Bears defense plays really well against Kirk Cousins, especially on primetime football. And Kirk Cousins hasn't been great at Soldier Field in recent years, especially in primetime football. I think the Bears defense comes out to play. They take over this football game, and I think we beat the Minnesota Vikings to go 8-6. Then we head to Seattle Week 16, 8-6 record. We're in the thick of the wild card hunt, which I anticipate the Chicago Bears being, like I said, in the thick of that wild card hunt, especially as we go to the end of the season. We go play against Russell Wilson, which I am not scared of the Seattle Seahawks. I truly am not. Russell Wilson can also beat you. He has that Aaron Rodgers effect. There's a couple of quarterbacks that have that effect that as long as you have them, you have a chance to win. And Russell Wilson is in that category. I think this is going to be a tough game. I think our defense will come out to play every game. And I think this is going to be a matter of how many points can our offense give us. I think if they can score the football, I think this is a winnable game. I think at the moment, right now, I would pick Seattle to beat the Chicago Bears. So that's what I'm going to do here. And that would move our record to 8-7. And then Week 17, we travel back home to play the New York Football Giants. And I think we win this football game. I think we improve to 9-7. I'm not too worried about Daniel Jones. Obviously, Saquon Barkley is coming back from that ACL tear that he tore when we played them last season in Chicago. How will he look this season? That's going to be a big question mark for the Giants. But I think we have to make Daniel Jones beat us, obviously. We have to put the ball in his hands, and I think that's what Sean Desai will do in this football game. If we make him beat us, I think we'll be in good hands, and I think the Bears improve 9-7 going into that Week 18 matchup in Minnesota. So now we're moving on to the final game, and I think this is going to be a huge game. This is going to have a lot of playoff implications. I feel like if we win, we secure that wild card spot. I feel that if we lose, I think we'll be out of the playoffs. So this is going to be a big game. So we're in Minnesota, Week 18, and obviously at this point, we're 9-7, probably have no chance to win a division. We're trying to fight for that probably 6th or 7th seed wild card spot, maybe even the final wild card spot. So they're going to probably have to win this game. I think Minnesota will get us at home and split the series with the Bears. And usually over the last couple of years, we have owned the Minnesota Vikings. That doesn't mean that those aren't tough games. All division games are going to be tough. Even against the Lions, they're going to be tough games because they're division football games. It's going to be the same thing here. I think it's going to be a very good football game. I think Minnesota's also going to be trying to fight for a wild card spot. I think Minnesota beats us in Week 18. The Bears end 9-8. And at that point, I am not too sure if that's going to be enough to get us into the playoffs. I know earlier in the season, in the offseason, I mentioned that the Chicago Bears would go 9-8. My record prediction does not change. I also think the Chicago Bears will end 9-8. And I truly think that the NFC is going to be very stacked, and I think they barely miss the playoffs, which, like I said in my past podcast, is not truly a bad thing because that means you went 9-8 and you have a bright future at the quarterback position. Obviously, does that mean Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace still have jobs? We don't know. We won't know that until the end of the season. But at least you know that you have a winning football team at 9-8, and you have a really good quarterback in Justin Fields, which you know he will be our starter in the 2022 NFL season. So that is my final prediction, wins and losses for the Chicago Bears this season. Like I mentioned, make sure you comment down below in the comment section and let me know your record prediction for the Chicago Bears this season, and I would love to hear it. Before I let you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Kick on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. Also, make sure to check out my bookie and use my promo code KOTM to instantly receive double your first deposit. But other than that, I'll catch you for an all new Bears episode right here on Kick on the Mic. Thanks, guys.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and sub